All right, here we go. Take two. Welcome everyone to Feminine Fire Friday. I'm Aurora Anorka Farber, and I am the creatrix of this group. And today I am so excited to have my soul sister, Kara Melendy, here to talk about something that I feel and I have been feeling lately is so important, is how do we offer our work into the world without draining our energy, actually sustaining and having more pleasure and purpose and joy and prosperity in our lives. So that's what she's here to talk about. She's here to talk about feminine energetics and how do we do that? How do we create these successful sacred businesses by tapping into our feminine power? So thank you so much, Kara, for being here.
Thank you, Aurora. It's always so fun to connect with you and to be in your beautiful community. And I know this is a topic that is dear to both of us, that connection with the divine feminine and goddess energy. And I love to help people bring that into their business. Like, so passionate about that. I think it really makes it all more fun, more exciting, and also more sustainable long term. So excited to have this conversation with you.
Yes, wonderful. Well, before we dive in, since we have you, and Kara is an amazing Akashic Astrologer, she's the creatrix of the Lightworkers Academy. And since she's here, I just can't resist but to ask you, what do you see and feel as the energy of this new moon in Gemini that's coming up tomorrow?
Oh, I'm loving these energies. It is so magical. And yeah, astrology is something I work very closely with, even from the perspective of business as well, helping bring people back to their unique birth chart, which is a way to explore your soul blueprint and all the beautiful gifts and talents that you came in with to share with the world. And we are definitely right now in the energy of the Gemini new moon. And it feels, this new moon to me, I keep using the word magical and very powerful, and really bringing together the logical mind with our intuition as well, because there's a couple of aspects around this new moon that are really bringing in the element of our higher self and higher realms of consciousness. So when we look at the energy of Gemini itself, which is where the moon is and where the sun is right now, and where Mercury, the ruler of this new moon, is also there, it's very much about communication and self-expression, as well as the stories we tell ourselves about our life, the thoughts and beliefs that we entertain. And it's a beautiful opportunity to really look at, what story am I telling about who I am, about the world? What lens am I looking through? Is it serving me? And if not, new moons are always that energy of a new beginning, that opportunity to say, I can choose again. And what's really bringing in this higher self aspect is the new moon is happening opposite the galactic center. So there's these beautiful light codes coming in. It's connecting us to higher realms of consciousness. And one of the main aspects of this new moon is a square to Neptune. And Neptune is about transcendence. So who we are on an emotional level, on a spiritual level, beyond the physical. So there's definitely this element of looking at how we connect and relate to our higher self also being a part of who we are as well. And the connection to our higher self can also really help us create beliefs about our life, about the world, that serve us, that support us, that empower us. So it is really, really a fun energy. The other thing I feel is the self-expression, how we express ourselves in the world, how we express our gifts. And if we're looking at the energy centers and the chakras, we can really see this new moon ruled by Mercury, very much connected to the throat chakra as well. Yeah.
Oh, that is wonderful. So I'm really excited for this new moon. I love Gemini season. I always feel the magic that's that's connected to Gemini, and I've definitely been feeling it in this archetype of the muse that I've been holding this month. So it's wonderful to know that. And for anyone listening, it could be a great time for you to take some of these tips that Kara has offered around. Like, what I really got was looking at the ways in which we communicate, how our stories and our limiting beliefs may be influencing how we're showing up in the world. And really, this new moon is a new chance to begin and to transcend perhaps some of those old beliefs. So, yay.
I know. Oh, I love, Aurora, that you say the muse as well, because I always associate the archetype of Gemini as being very playful and connecting us to that like childlike spirit as well. It has a curiosity to it and openness to it. So I think the other aspect of this new moon is definitely looking at where we may be too rigid in our life and how we can add in more of that flow. It's also a mutable sign. So more of that playfulness, more of that flow, more of that openness to new possibilities, which I think every moment is an opportunity for a new beginning, and new moons really remind us of that. And in this energy definitely brings in that idea of there's infinite possibilities that are there for us to tap into, stay open, stay curious, and keep that playful spirit.
Yes, I love that. And in the 13 Moon Mystery School, we have this mantra that we say, here, here, now, now, all things are possible. And like, just really amplify this energy of possibility. And also this inquiry of using what if, to open up possibilities. So I'm going to segue into feminine energetics, because all of this Gemini talk about play and pleasure and having fun, to me, that's a feminine energetic, as opposed to being rigid and serious and got to get things done. So yes, what would you like to offer our community regarding feminine energetics, since this seems to be a great time to do this? And for anyone listening, yeah, take note of these tips, because this could be some great information to rework and rewrite in your own life for the new moon.
Beautiful. Yeah, well, and I think you're so right. That energy of play and pleasure, I really associate that with the feminine as well. And I think it's so important that we have that as a priority in our business. Or another way to say that, it serves us to have it as a priority in our business. And I think kind of the old mentality is we prioritize accomplishment, prioritize action and results. And what that's led to for a lot of people is burnout or a lack of joy. And then not having, if they do hit certain results they want in their business, maybe certain income numbers, or they launch a successful program, but they did it from sheer will and force and a denial of that feminine aspect that just wants to play and express. That's not going to be sustainable. That leads to a sense of burnout and a feeling of denying a part of ourselves. So prioritizing play and pleasure, not just when work is done, but as an active part of how we show up in our business, is so, so key. Keeping that energy of, like, a question I'll often ask is, how can I allow this to feel more fun? Whether it's a video, whether it's a program, anything I'm doing in my business, how can I allow this to feel fun? How can I allow this to be an avenue for self-expression? So that's always been like a key component for me that I feel really honors that feminine as well.
Oh, I love that inquiry. How can I make this more fun? Especially sometimes in our businesses, things seem very tedious or they're on repetition, and it's like, so that will infuse this task into something that can be more pleasurable. And therefore, what I'm hearing is that it really nurtures you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, we're nurtured in the process. And I think, part of business, there certainly can be times where we are doing things that we don't necessarily want to do in the moment, but that feel necessary for where we are going. And I do think that's important to look at. I mean, our emotions are so important to connect to acknowledge, to honor, and also emotions come and go. They are fleeting. So if we're making a lot of decisions just based on our emotion, it may not serve us long term. So there's certainly things in our business we may not enjoy doing, but we may desire the outcome. How I have shifted it in my mind as well, I used to see it as discipline, which is more like a masculine energy. Nothing wrong with the masculine, of course. The masculine supports the feminine in beautiful ways. And lately, how I've seen it instead of saying discipline is I see it as devotion, which feels very much like a feminine energy. Like I am devoted to the tasks that I know can move my business forward. I'm devoted to my mission. I'm devoted to my purpose work. And that feels like it brings in such a feminine element, but still allows for that consistency that we hear about so much in business, showing up consistently. And I personally, from my experience, agree that that consistency really helps to build trust with people. It really helps us to get a sense of when I say I'm going to show up and do something, I can rely on myself. So even that little shift in my mind from discipline of I have to force or be really rigid with things, I can be devoted to the practices that I know honor my business and allow it to flourish long term. And then coupling it with that question of how can I allow this to be more fun? So supportive. And then over time in our business, as it grows and evolves, we can certainly look at what our magic is, what we are really good at doing, and what really isn't our magic. And we can begin to outsource that to other people. Like I know for me, doing the tech stuff used to just put me in a state of frustration and overwhelm. And early on in my business, I would do it. I would learn it, but now I can understand that, wow, like that's not actually where my magic is. And I can hire someone to help with that. So depending where we are in our business, we can also really look at where can I best be of service? Where is my magic? And where is my energy maybe being drained by things that I don't enjoy doing, and hiring support, which I also see as a very feminine quality of allowing ourselves not just to give, but to also really be supported in our work as well.
Oh, I love that. So many gems of truth and wisdom in what you shared. And so just want to highlight what I really loved is turning that word discipline or that concept as we apply it to our work in the world into devotion, because even the frequency of those words are so different. Discipline and devotion, neither is better than the other, but there is a kind of, yeah, just like you said, a pairing of the two, but especially when those things are not really lighting us up, or those things that we kind of need to do, but maybe we're not so inspired, that we can remember that we're on a path of devotion, because anyone who's probably listening to this is a spiritpreneur or has a soul-led mission. So I really, really love that. And I'm just thinking about, like, these are wonderful tips on how to bring in more of that feminine for the purpose as well, because when you tap into your devotion, you connect deeper into your purpose. And I'm wondering if you could speak about prosperity. How does feminine energetics help us with our prosperity?
Oh, I think it's so many ways. So definitely when we are prioritizing playfulness and pleasure in our life, we're naturally going to be more magnetic. We're going to be magnetic when we show up. What we create is going to have a different energy force to it. So that is actually so key, instead of, again, just that rigid or that sheer force. So that's such a big part of it. I think intuition as well plays a huge role in opening up to prosperity and just really every single aspect of our business. If we have a solid foundation of trusting our intuition, we are set. Because I find in business, there's so many different strategies or ways that we can get results. And it can get very overwhelming for people at times if we're disconnected from our intuition. So our intuition is that connection to our soul truth, our soul blueprint. So it's going to ultimately lead us to our highest path for prosperity, for our purpose work in the world, in again, that way that's really sustainable as well. And finding strategies and tools that align for us, that can then lead us to the results that we want, because there's many different things that can work. There's many different kind of paradigms of success. And we see that all the time. Like, I know I still get to this day people recommending that I go on TikTok. I'm not there. And I remember early on, it's always since the beginning of my business all the way through, people would have these suggestions or recommendations. And, being able to come back to my intuition of does this feel good or right for me has been a game changer instead of just feeling like, oh, just because this person had success there or that's what's hot right now, I have to do that. Our intuition really allows us to like find our way to the strategies, to the tools, to the courses and mentors as well that are actually going to support us long term.
Oh, yes, I definitely feel that you're so right on about the intuition. That is definitely a part of feminine energetics that I feel is so valuable in our work. And even in the gene keys, there is this key that is unease to clarity via intuition. And as you were talking about, there's so many teachers, there's so many systems, there's so many strategies. We can get lost, and that causes us unease, and we don't have clarity about how to move forward. And that can kind of create a stuckness in us. And really, through that pathway of intuition, learning to work with intuition, building trust in yourself and in the universe, and in the knowing that intuition is the way the universe speaks to us and guides us lovingly on our path, then yeah, that just feels like a real piece of wisdom for us to connect to and to begin to create practices to help us activate and get in tune with our own inner knowing.
Absolutely. Yeah, it really is key because it will connect us back to what our path to success is. And what I say too is like soulful success. So it doesn't just look good on the outside, it actually honors the work you're here to do on the planet. It honors what feels good to you, it honors your soul gifts. And intuition is something we all have, it's a gift we all have. I think early on, we can be, some of us, many of us, unfortunately, can be trained away from listening to our intuition or honoring it, but it's always there. So we can always find our way back to it. And the more that we learn to trust it, I find the louder it is too. And again, even with this new moon energy, I find that discussion around the analytical mind and intuition really comes into play, where Gemini can be more of the analytical, logical, which really serves a purpose. And we can have our logical mind work with our intuition instead of against it. So another way that I often can sense my intuition is it feels like this something that's very solid, very stable, under the surface, like under the surface of thoughts that can sometimes take us into like a spiral of chaos, right? Just it's like our intuition, for me, it feels like the solid voice, this steady voice that is underneath it all. And it's usually not charged with too much emotion. It just is. It just feels like it is. And there's certainly like a groundedness that I find it brings as well, a groundedness, a truth.
Yes, I absolutely agree with you. Often people will ask me, well, how do I know if it's my intuition? And that's my similar response as I say, it feels neutral. It doesn't
Mm,
feel like I really want it to be that answer, or I don't want it, or I'm afraid of it. It just feels neutral. And of course, there are different ways that we receive our intuition, either through seeing or hearing or knowing or feeling, and many others. And so, like, getting used to how you
mm,
receive your intuition, I feel is a great way to learn to be guided as you share your work in the world. So, yeah,
mhm.
really beautiful. And I know the Akashic Records is also one of the ways that you can work with intuition.
Oh, it's an incredible way. And it's another tool that I work really closely with alongside astrology because the records also bring us back to our blueprint. It brings us back to our soul truth. So it's just another way of exploring that blueprint, another way to connect with our higher self, our soul path. It really actually is the foundation to my business. When I started working within the Akashic Records, that's when I really saw incredible growth in my business financially, in more people coming into my world. And all of that, of course, is so exciting. But
Mhm.
what really excited me about all of it was it felt more connected and aligned than ever before. like before I still had a business, but it was like something felt like it was missing. It just wasn't clicking into place. And the records really helped align me with what I'm here to do. And that's always growing and evolving, but it feels really nice to just have that connection to our blueprint and the intentions our soul had coming in to this life experience. And in the records, absolutely help us enhance our intuition. Even just the way I bring people into the records, it's really learning to connect with subtle energies. So what are you hearing? What are you seeing? What are you experiencing? And soon that becomes louder and louder. I say subtle because initially it feels very subtle. It's not like, hearing me talk to you now, it tends to be subtle until we get used to honoring it. And then I find, wow, we can connect in pretty quickly to that voice of our intuition. And I feel with that as well, a big part of it is trusting our intuition. I think there can be fear that's created around trusting it, or we pull ourselves into overthinking. Is this intuition? Is this fear? And worry about making the wrong decision. So a big part of it is learning to actually trust ourselves and to trust that we know how to make decisions that are in our highest and best good. And I know this is kind of an aside, but it feels like it's coming in as well. Sometimes we put pressure on ourselves that there's like a right or wrong decision, when really it's not like that. There's a decision and then many little decisions that really support us. So there's a lot of pressure when we feel like, oh, my intuition is guiding me this way. And if I don't listen, it's going to be wrong, when it's really not like that. And at any time, we can choose to lock back into, where's my intuition now guiding me with whatever path we've chosen. Like that guidance is always there.
Yes. Oh, I love that. And, everything that you're saying, it reminds me that so much has to do with our frequency, how
Mhm.
how we are showing up energetically. And so whether it's creating practices to make things more fun, or asking questions like, what if this, or what if that, or connecting to our intuition, that also helps to raise our vibration. That feels to me like a key part of this feminine energetics that, we're discussing here. And I'm wondering if there's any last tip that you might have to share around how, in a practical way, how can we bring more feminine energetics into our work and into our life?
Beautiful. I love how you use the question, what if? Because I often talk about that with my clients as well. And I use that in my life. And I think when we use what if in ways that serve us, not like what if worst case scenario,
Good point.
but what if in ways that expand us into, wow, what if today I had an idea that dropped in that led to a program that was life-changing for the world? What if today I notice all the blessings in my life? And like, because what that does too, I use this in the records a lot. It brings us into the realm of possibility and potential when we ask what if questions, and it primes our brain to look for solutions. So even if it doesn't drop in right away, like we can ask a what if, doesn't mean we know the answer right away, but what it's doing is expanding us into a new possibility, and it's directing our focus in a way that really serves us. So I just had to comment on that because I love how you speak about like the what if and the power of that.
Yes, absolutely. That's here, now, all things are possible, right? It's that
Mhm.
energy of possibility. And as you were saying that, and as I was doing this chant, I was also thinking about how being in our body, getting more attuned to our body, even listening to what our body needs, because often I know that too much rigidity, discipline leads to overworking and ignoring. I know for myself, like I don't even know if I'm hungry. When's the last time I went to the bathroom? Because we're so involved in what we're doing. And so for me, what's been opening up in me is like prioritizing what you said earlier, prioritizing pleasure and play, but also prioritizing the body temple as a, because this is your feminine vehicle, and it's even prioritizing the health, but even perhaps prioritizing what makes you feel good. Whether, and it can be different for different people. It could be going for a walk or going for a run, or it could be, wearing beautiful jewelry or a beautiful scent, or it could be just cuddling up on the sofa and watching Netflix. Like, what does your body need? I feel that that helps us more to embody what's actually happening inside.
Beautifully said. Oh, I love that. And also, I love your earrings, by the way. I meant to comment earlier, those are gorgeous. And I totally agree. Taking that time to tune into our body is key. And like asking ourselves, what do I need in this moment? And really prioritizing that nourishment of our body. We don't want to ignore our body and just be in our mind, because that is not sustainable long term for one, but also I think, like, what's the point in having a business that's getting these results if we haven't cared for our body and we don't feel good in the process? So I think that is a really practical tool we can do day to day, is take time to check in and ask, what am I needing in this moment? And sometimes maybe our mind will say, I don't know. And that's okay. This can become a practice. And I find it's often, we do know, if we sink a little deeper, it can be very simple. It's like, drink more water, maybe go to bed a little bit earlier, take the pressure off of whatever you're doing and ask that question of, how can I bring more joy and fun into this? Ask how you can fuel your body with food. Like, that is key. And prioritizing that is going to serve our business, but serve every single aspect of our life. And certainly a way to deepen that connection with our intuition, because as you said, Aurora, there's so many ways our intuition can speak to us, and we can develop all the ways, and we naturally have some that are stronger. I think our intuition can also speak to us through our body and the wisdom of our body, and how our body is physically responding to different options in our life, different situations, different people. We can really feel when our nervous system relaxes, right? And I think the feminine loves that, when we feel relaxed around a certain person or certain situation. So learning to cultivate that. I love that you brought that in, Aurora. Clearly, I'm passionate about that as well.
Yeah, I love you reflecting that back and embellishing it, because as you're talking, I'm thinking, I'll have what she's having. Because it is like this, what you were saying, it really, it changes you, it shifts you, it changes, it helps you settle down, settle in, like be more embodied. So yeah, I thought that you would have something wonderful to contribute to that.
And it puts us in that receptive state, even with your question around prosperity and how that relates to the feminine. The feminine receives, and to allow financial abundance into our life, there is a sense of leaning back and
Yeah,
allowing.
that's
So
right.
having a relaxed nervous system, taking time to rest, taking time to honor the cycles and rhythms of our body, is going to lead to more prosperity and help us embody that frequency more as well.
Yes, absolutely. And it is that energy of the feminine that is receptive, that is magnetic, that doesn't have to push and penetrate and go forward in the world. She's just here. And the more that we can emanate and exude that vibration out toward the world, then the more we receive and the more we attract and magnetize. So yay, I love this discussion, and I'm really excited for you to share a little bit more about how people can get a little bit more of your amazing wisdom with your free series coming up called Energetics of a Multi-Six-Figure Soul-Led Business. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So we are beginning on Tuesday. I am so excited for this, because I'm all about helping people grow a business that is sustainable and reflects their soul truth, reflects their soul blueprint. So I've really been highlighting soul led. And not just a term I use, but how I grow my business. It's all about connecting back to what our gifts are, what our purpose is, and sharing from that space, and having a business that really reflects our purpose work on the planet. So I'm going to be diving deeper into that as part of the mini series as well, 3 days long. We'll be talking more about the Akashic records too. So anybody here who's interested in the records, learning more about accessing that space and how it relates to business growth. The first day, I'm really going to dive into that, how to kind of work in the Akashic field, which is the field of pure potential and possibility. And that's where we can see things flowing with much greater ease. That's where we can be in this co-creative dance with cosmic intelligence. It's just so, so fun. And I'll also be sharing, as part of that series, around the energetics of wealth. So transcending some of the limiting collective beliefs around money that we may have taken on that actually don't support the growth of our business and don't honor our soul's truth. So really looking at what those are and how to transcend those so you can welcome in more wealth and abundance into your business, because I do think it changes the planet when the light workers, healers, creatives of the world allow themselves to receive abundantly for their work, and to not be in a place of stress around money, but to recognize they're actually more powerful than money and their work is powerful. And it's a beautiful energetic exchange when you allow yourself to receive for it. So just a few of the things we'll be diving into.
Oh, that sounds so wonderful. And I really love what you said there at the end regarding light workers and their like holding almost a torch for light workers to really step into their own light and step into the light of prosperity so that they can, for the incredible work that they do for others and for the planet, that they get to feel that feminine energetic of receiving this reciprocity of giving and receiving as well. So it sounds like a wonderful event for everyone. So I highly recommend it. You'll know, use your intuition. If Kara's one that's like on your radar that, oh, I want to get to know her a little bit more, then there's a link here in the post and you can find out more and sign up for that event. But I'm sure that you've gotten kind of a feel for the beautiful energy that she has. And I know that in the sessions I've done with her working in the Akashic records, she really holds an amazing space of this, how do I even describe it? Almost like just this sense of unconditional love, this space of pure gratitude, and this ability to see ourselves through the eyes of that is quite empowering. So thank you for opening the portal for so many of us, Kara.
Oh, thank you for your beautiful words, Aurora. That means so much. And I loved our work together. I love the beautiful work you're doing on the planet. So thank you again for having me in. It's always a pleasure to connect with you and be in this beautiful space. Your community is amazing. I've connected with wonderful people from this group. So thank you.
Well, wonderful. And yeah, thank you again for being here, and for everyone listening. Enjoy your new moon in Gemini and take some tips from this conversation on setting intentions regarding balancing your intellect and your intuition and really dreaming big, transcending limiting beliefs, and maybe even sprinkling in a little bit more play, a little bit more pleasure in that Gemini energy so that your feminine energetics can come on board and you can become that magnet of feminine success.
Amazing.
All right. Thank you so much, beloved. Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.